Final Fantasy XVI producer Naoki Yoshida has said that he believes we would be better off if there was just one single gaming platform, which is a long way from the first time someone has expressed this particular idea. It bursts up into gaming pretty regularly, especially around the launch of a new generation of consoles, as people are discussing the pros and cons of this versus that. This latest expression of one of the gaming world's dumbest ideas is only really considered newsworthy because it was said by someone who produced a high-profile AAA game that has released recently as a platform exclusive. It comes to us via an IGN-sourced translation from a rather casually performed interview with a Taiwanese YouTube channel. Shrug. Yoshida said, possibly knowing it'd spark discussion, that it would be better for developers and players if there was just one singular gaming platform and competing hardware should not exist. In his own translated words, game platforms, I wish there was only one. It would be better for both the developers and the players. Would it though? Would it really? No, I don't think it would be. Like I said, this concept comes up pretty regularly in gaming. I first heard of it long before I could sprout a single beard hair, and now here we are, decades of gaming behind us. My beard is full and grey, and we're still having this discussion. But it is actually a kind of interesting discussion to have. It's interesting to think about, to conceptualize, and the gaming landscape has changed a lot over the many years I've been gaming. There is one thing in particular that has been on the rise and may indeed mean the near absolute irrelevance of walled-off, incompatible gaming platforms as separate things. And I kind of hate it, and that's cloud gaming, but we're not getting into that today. Now, of course, this whole discussion ties very fiercely in with the whole concept of platform exclusive. Whether or not there are just one platform or many platforms, platform exclusives are part of this issue as well. Sometimes this happens because the developer is literally owned by the same people as the platform, as is frequently the case with Nintendo and their exquisite platform exclusives. Sometimes it's a practicality decision to help streamline development and reduce the people hours needed to finish a game and refine it for a single platform. Very common on smaller developers. Sometimes it's literally just a matter of money being thrown at a third-party developer to withhold their game from other platforms. Sometimes just for a limited period, sometimes essentially forever. The last one might be the shittiest one for a consumerist point of view. Sony and Microsoft have both secured a number of third-party titles as console exclusives over the years. So has Nintendo, but it's less of a fuss there for some reason. Either by exclusive contract or just by literally buying the whole goddamn developer. One relevant example to the framing of this most recent raising of the issue is, of course, PlayStation's ties with Square Enix, which saw the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy XVI excluded from Xbox specifically. Final Fantasy XIV, which Yoshida also directed, will hit Xbox consoles next year, after an entire decade from the PS4 release. Final Fantasy XVI was released for PS5 a couple of months back. Square Enix has confirmed that it will remain exclusive to Sony's console for at least the remainder of this calendar year, which is to suggest there's a 6 months exclusivity contract in place. Yoshida has also said, prior to the game's release on PlayStation, that a PC version of the game may be released, but gave absolutely no timeline on that whatsoever. So as not to harm the PlayStation sales, obviously. Beyond suggesting that the 6 months exclusivity deal on PlayStation was not enough time to optimize the game for PC. Final Fantasy XVI's director, Hiroshi Takai, also went on record before the game release, claiming that the game was only possible on PlayStation 5, which, where have you heard that lie before? Oh right, on literally every single major PS5 exclusive, usually a year or two out from it actually being demonstrated not to be true, even slightly. It is a lie, and it is always a lie. We're only able to do this thanks to the size of the PlayStation 5's memory, said Takai, on the official PlayStation blog, a publication of irrefutable journalistic integrity, surely. Except, both for the fact that the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 have exactly the same memory size, 16 gigabytes, and as a matter of fact, their main difference in memory architecture is bandwidth. The Xbox Series X has a 320-bit bus, while the PlayStation 5 has a significantly smaller 256-bit bus. So, somehow we're told that Final Fantasy XVI is only possible on a smaller RAM bandwidth, a less performant RAM, and slightly less powerful APU. Okay, liars. Okay, liars. Now, the whole single platform thing, to come back to where we started, from a game development point of view, it would be great, you would imagine. Except when it's not great. You'd imagine dev teams working across multiple platforms, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch and PC, and sometimes also mobile. Well, that would obviously mean tremendously more work. More specific coding for each specific platform, more testing, several different optimization passes, and having gone through the approval process of each individual platform owner, and having tied to different multiplayer systems, and oh my god, so much extra work. So being committed to just a single platform means that development teams can really hammer down and streamline and focus and optimize the game to the best it possibly can be on a single target hardware profile. Easy, right? Well, no, actually, Final Fantasy XVI is plagued with performance issues, despite its platform exclusivity and only being possible on PlayStation 5 hardware. That's pretty weird, right? It's weird. Square Enix's other recent PlayStation console exclusive, Forspoken, also had severe performance issues, often dipping to around 20 FPS in both the quality and RT modes, despite a paltry 30 FPS target. Weird. Super weird. How platform exclusivity and hyperfocus on optimizing for a single hardware target didn't help those two high-profile games at all from a major AAA publisher. Odd. Really odd. It's almost like it's a complete lie to suggest platform exclusivity for high-profile AAA games from major publishers is about delivering the best game and not about pocketing Sony's money. So, while in theory, a single platform sounds like a good idea, in reality it just doesn't work that way, demonstrably. And we'd lose any sense of commercial competition in the marketplace, which would be atrocious for consumers, as is always the case when there's a monopoly in a capitalistic system. Would one big, unified gaming platform really push the industry forward in the same ways that this competition has? Well, it might, if it was an effectively open standard, so Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and anybody else who wanted could also build to a basic standard of hardware compatibility, a standardized console, and compete in an open market based on the value they bring or the performance benefits their specific product could have over someone else's. Cheap version of the console, pretty good for 1080p. The more expensive, powerful version, well, that's what you want for 4K gaming, obviously. Hang on a sec. We already have that, don't we? It's called PC gaming. One base level standard, x86 architecture on the CPU, broadly standardized hardware interfaces with plenty of variation, complete and open choice of performance levels and price points and form factors that range from desktop to luggable to laptop to handheld, a standardized operating system and common APIs layered over that, an open choice of various storefronts and purchasing methods so the consumer decides where they want to spend their money and how. So is the answer for Nintendo, Microsoft and Sony all to be forced to compete in the PC gaming space? Is that where we should standardize? So developers could build for one system and still give players the choice of performance and value and form factor while not being beheld to the obnoxiously consumer hostile practice of platform exclusivity for specific games. Well, fact is, Xbox, PlayStation and Nintendo wouldn't be where they are now as companies without having to compete with one another in the way that they have, with exclusives and differing hardware. But who cares? Is it in fact right or correct for Sony to continue to exist only because it buys and bullies its way through platform exclusives, terrified of not being able to survive if they had to compete fairly? And don't call that straw manning either. We've seen Sony admit that much in public, on the damn record, under oath in a court of law, in the recent cases around Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. Sony themselves admitted openly that without certain multi-platform titles, they'd struggle to even exist. Call of Duty in this case, I think, was the crux of the matter. So, given that, how is it also magically fair for them to then turn around and pay for certain games to be withheld from other platforms? It's hypocrisy, raw and undiluted hypocrisy. On the one hand, they're going, no, you can't let Microsoft buy that publisher, because if that publisher doesn't publish their games on our platform, we couldn't exist. And then they turn around and go, hey, publisher over there, how about we give you a lot of money so you don't publish your game, your very popular and long-running game series, don't publish on that platform and we'll give you some money. And then we come to consider that both the current Xbox and PlayStation consoles both currently rely on PC GPU and CPU architecture in the form of a slightly customized AMD APU, the same kind of APU that you can run in a PC, and indeed all the way down to handheld gaming PCs. That's got an AMD APU in it, very, very similar to what's used in the consoles. In fact, it's a couple of generations ahead of what's in the current consoles. The Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are near identical at a basic hardware architecture level, and as has been demonstrated, any so-called innovation like Sony's much-touted magical SSD that makes games only possible there is entirely smoke and mirrors. It's a lie. Might as well be Sega's blast processing for all it matters. No, platform exclusivity at this point is about controlling behavior and trapping consumers to one brand's hardware by controlling the software and previously purchased software through a locked-off storefront. It's trapping that mind share, encouraging that tribalism so you keep buying their product. Hi Apple, if you could, in theory, install a common Linux-based OS on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, there's little practicality standing in the way of exactly the same games being run on those systems at very similar performance levels. But then we come to the issue of Microsoft's practical monopoly over the PC gaming space with a 97% controlling share over the OSs running on gaming PCs according to Valve's own hardware surveys. And what would that mean for Xbox console if it was just a fully compatible Windows gaming PC versus a Windows PC compatible PlayStation from Sony? That doesn't seem right, does it? With Microsoft owning software and the hardware and the other guys only owning the hardware side of things. That's all the control they have. So is the one platform and open for all across standard hardware and OS architecture better for devs and consumers when one company still controls the OS? Is Linux the answer then? Open and free Linux. The benefit and desirability of consoles lies in their easy plug-and-play nature. From hardware all the way through to games to online services, consumers can just buy the thing works, and if you buy a game for the thing, it works the same, and it works the same as everybody else's. There's no fuss, no muss, no fiddling, largely. And Linux is not that. And even when it is made to try and be like that, you still have the issue of who controls it. I'm talking specifically about the Steam Deck. That's a Linux-based OS for gaming, but Valve control it. And despite promises to the contrary, they still have not delivered on their word of making it easily available to anyone who wants to install it on their own PC hardware. They said they were going to do that years ago, still haven't done it. There are other projects that make that possible. I'm using one right now, but they're a long way from being end-user friendly, as certainly as a pre-installed Windows system you get on a pre-built PC, or indeed the Steam Deck or a console. So is the console exclusivity horseshit the price we have to pay because people are stupid and lazy and don't want to figure out that stuff? It might be. It's not unfair to be stupid and lazy in that way. It is a lot of fuss fiddling with Linux in this manner, but the rest of us suffer. PC gaming is great. It is also very frequently quite a fuss, which is why over my many years in gaming, I've personally flopped between being a console-focused gamer, sometimes not even owning a PC at all, and being a PC Prime gamer, building my own systems from the ground up, exclusively to cater to my gaming needs. These days, as a content creator, I feel a need, or at least an excuse, to own them all, but I still game most on PC. Switch is a very close second, and the Switch is a whole different story, especially when, Switch and PC, is that the best gaming possible? I mean, outside of PlayStation exclusives, which brings us back to the hat and hole issue again, what do I need a PlayStation for? And anything I can run on the Xbox, it's on PC usually. Very few exceptions to that. And that's very much by design. Microsoft want to do that. They want to give consumers the choice. Hey, just play your games wherever. We control the Windows on PC. We control the Xbox stuff. What do we care where you play your games? Just play. Here, we'll even have your cross saves and cross play. Actually, you know what? If you buy on our store, you can own the game on PC and Xbox at the same time and only play once. That's how good we are to you, so long as we get to control the method of distribution. What's the answer? I don't know, but I do occasionally like having the discussion around it. So thank you, Square Enix, for your quite possibly very tongue-in-cheek provocation to have this discussion, which I don't think I've actually made a video about before. I've touched on it a few times in other videos. I don't think I've made a dedicated video about it, so it's probably about time, right? No? Just you've heard all this before? Maybe. Got anything new to add? Thank you to the patrons scrolling above there. I am Blunty. And I will catch you next time. Thank you very much for your attention, and especially for that kind of attention. Just help with the money stuff.